took a new twist today. This comes as the newly appointed Emir Muhammadu Sanusi II and the deposed Emir Aminu Ado Bayero now lay claim to the throne. While Emir Sanusi II has formally assumed duty at the palace, the deposed Emir Ado Bayero is currently at the royal house in Nasarawa in another part of Kano City. Our correspondent Sadiq Ilyasu reports.
The tussle for the Kano throne is not yet over as Muhammadu Sanusi II returned to the Emir's palace in the early hours of Saturday, May 25, just after midnight, in the company of Governor Abba Yusuf of Kano State, his deputy, and the Speaker of the State Assembly. After inspecting the palace, the reinstated emir, along with the governor, prayed for a brighter future. The emir spoke to newsmen about his hopes for the state and the nation.
Improve on my previous tenure. We all learn from our mistakes. We all remember what we did well and what we did not do so well. And it is our responsibility to improve on what we did well and to avoid those things that we did not do so well. Life is a continuous learning process. I've enjoyed the break of the 4 years. I've been grateful to God for the time spent. And I thank the people of Kano for their love. I thank them for their affection. I thank all the scholars, the business community, and the political class for the support they've given me.
Meanwhile, the 15th Emir of Kano arrived at Malam Aminu Kano International Airport at about 5 a.m. His followers bowed in respect to the Emir as they joined in prayers for his safe arrival. Tension began when the state government alleged that the National Security Advisor and the APC National Chairman Abdullahi Ganduje were plotting against the reinstatement of Muhammadu Sanusi II as the Emir of Kano.
All of a sudden, it appears some forces from the top are working hard to scuttle the wishes and aspirations of the Kano state people. We are reliably informed that the former governor of Kano State, Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, using the office of the National Security Advisor, is trying everything possible, using that office to bring back the dethroned emir and force him back on the people. This is not going to be acceptable to us. And we as a government will do everything possible to avert it. And we will resist any attempt to enforce anything on us. We will resist any attempt by whosoever.
Aminu Baba, a kingmaker who got the order stopping the reinstatement of Muhammadu Sanusi II, speaks on allegations against the National Security Advisor.
Very, very unfortunate also. I had the deputy governor accusing the National Security Advisor that he was the one who gave us the aircraft that brought us to Kano. This is very, very unfortunate. I have a very, very high regard for him, but for him to accuse somebody without facts is very unfortunate.
Despite the police position, Muhammadu Sanusi II appeared with the symbolic royal umbrella, which only a current emir is allowed to use. Aminu Ado, on the other hand, appeared before his cheering supporters at the Nasarawa residence of the emir. The Kano Emirate tussle continues to unfold as both Muhammadu Sanusi II and Aminu Ado Bayero claim the throne amidst legal and political uncertainties. Sadiq Ilyasu, Channels Television News.
Well, reacting to the allegation by the Kano State Deputy Governor, the Office of the National Security Advisor has denied claims that the NSA, Mr. Nuhu Ribadu, facilitated the return of the dethroned Emir of Kano, Aminu Ado Bayero, to the state today. The spokesperson for the Office of the NSA, Mr. Zakari Mijinyawa, describes the claim as false. He told Channels Television that the Office of the NSA did not provide the aircraft that returned the deposed monarch to the state. Mr. Mijinyawa was reacting to the Kano State Deputy Governor, Aminu Gwazo, who had accused the NSA of facilitating the return of the dethroned emir. Meanwhile, Governor Abba Yusuf has ordered the immediate arrest of the deposed emir, Ado Bayero, accusing him of creating tension in the state. According to the spokesperson to the governor, the former emir was allegedly smuggled into Kano City last night in an attempt to reclaim the palace forcefully. The statement emphasized the government's commitment to maintaining peace and order, maintaining that any action aimed at undermining this stability will be met with strict measures. Meanwhile, the Kano State Command of the Nigeria Police says it is standing by the order given by a federal high court in Kano, stopping the dissolution of the emirate and reappointment of Muhammadu Sanusi II as the emir of Kano. The police commissioner, Hussaini Gumel, said this during a press briefing alongside representatives of other security agencies. The police vowed to maintain law and order, warning any attempt to disrupt the peace in the state.
We are gathered here to intimate you on the security situation and in particular the developments surrounding the chieftaincy affairs of the state. The police command is expressly obeying the court order with suit number FHC/KN/CS/182/2024 dated 23rd May 2024, issued by the Federal High Court sitting in Kano alongside all law enforcement agents in the state. Therefore, we are calling on members of the public to know that the police in the state is working together with the military and other security agencies and are with full capacity for providing the adequate security to everyone, as we are committed to carrying out our statutory duties as provided by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. No doubt, the law-abiding people of Kano State are known for a revered cultural heritage and respect for constituted authority, and in this regard, advised to remain calm, patient, and to keep cooperating with security agencies, as the matter described will be addressed by the court on the 3rd of June 2024. Therefore, as Police Command is leading other security agencies to sustain the peace and peaceful coexistence for overriding interest, miscreants should stay clear of violence in all its ramifications and should not take advantage or hijack the current situation to launch unprovoked attack on people, property, and infrastructure of the state. Any person found with such tendency will be ruthlessly dealt with according to the law of the land.
To politics, the Labour Party in Edo State has suspended the national chairman of the party, Mr. Julius Abure. This followed the ratification at the state and local government levels of Mr. Abure's suspension from Ward 3, Arwe Rome in Esan Northeast, which was reportedly conveyed in a letter dated May the 14th, 2024, and addressed to Mr. Abure. At a press conference in Benin City, the Edo State capital, the party's chairman in Esan Northeast local government area said the reasons for the suspension were considered weighty enough for it to be upheld and ratified.
Distinguished leaders, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to this unfortunate point arising from several consultations with people and leaders of this party, very distinguished owners and those who have contributed immensely to the upliftment of our party, but it was to no avail. The State Executive Council is extremely reluctant to ordinarily adopt this kind of situation. But I must tell you that tonight we are very constrained and have no options whatsoever at our disposal to refuse this presentation. This is more so when it is indeed coming from the very world where Barrister Julius Abure originates. We therefore find no iota of evidence that has the capacity to prohibit us from agreeing to ratify this suspension. On behalf of the State Executive Committee, we have this suspension ratified.
Meanwhile, the national leadership of the Labour Party has dismissed the suspension of Mr. Julius Abure as the LP national chairman. In a statement, the National Publicity Secretary of the party, Mr. Obiora Ifo, maintains that the national chairman has not been suspended by the ward executive of Ward 3, Aure Romi Esan, northeast of Edo State. According to him, the chairman of the ward, Thompson Ehigweze, has dismissed the purported suspension, insisting that the ward leadership is loyal to the chairman and that it lacks the powers under the constitution of the party to either remove or suspend a national chairman. He adds that the leadership of the party is investigating the source of the purported letter of suspension and will summarily act in accordance with the party rules in disciplining any officer of the party found guilty of contravening the rules of the party. Staying with politics, this time in Imo State, where the People's Democratic Party has rejected the verdict of the Imo State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal, which upheld the victory of Governor Hope Uzodinma as the winner of the November 11, 2023 governorship election in the state. Addressing a news conference in Owerri, the Imo State capital, the chairman of the PDP in Imo State, Mr. Chidi Dike, says the judgment does not reflect the wishes and aspirations of Imo indigents, whom he said voted massively for the PDP in the election. He adds that the party will seek redress in a higher court. In part two, after the break, the president arrives in Lagos to commission and flag off projects as part of activities to mark his first anniversary in office. Plus, former President Olusegun Obasanjo and the former Minister of Agriculture Audu Ogbe recommend ways to creating an enabling environment for investment in the country. The president is currently in Lagos to begin the commissioning of projects completed under his administration. He was received on arrival at the Murtala Mohammed Airport by Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu and other top government officials. A statement by the Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Ononuga, explains that President Bola Tinubu will on Sunday inaugurate the concrete paved road to the nation's major ports in Apapa and Tinkan Island. The road, which reconstruction began under former President Muhammadu Buhari's administration, was financed by the Dangote Group using its tax credits. On the same day, President Tinubu will formally inaugurate, virtually, the refurbished Third Mainland Bridge, as well as 330 roads and bridges across the country. The high point of the president's engagement on Sunday will be the official flag-off of the already ongoing iconic Lagos-Calabar Coastal Superhighway, estimated to cost about 15 trillion naira. President Bola Tinubu is scheduled to return to Abuja on Tuesday to begin another round of projects commissioning. In other stories, former President Olusegun Obasanjo, as well as a former Minister of Agriculture, Mr. Audu Ogbe, are advocating the need for government to cut down on importation. They also want the scaling up of production and creating of an enabling environment for investment in the economy. Both men made the recommendations at the Paul Alani Colloquium in Abuja, organized to discuss solutions to Nigeria's economic challenges.
This conference is at the instance of a renowned economist, Mr. Paul Alaji, to discuss the economy, security, social development, and governance.
The idea of planning the TPAC colloquium
The objective is to come up with actionable recommendations for the government on the solutions to the socio-economic and security challenges bedeviling the country.
It is important to note that TPAC is not just a one-time event. It is a commitment to addressing critical issues facing our nation annually, with a strong focus on 4 pillars: the economy, security, social development, and governance.
One after the other, speakers at this conference spotlight insecurity and other challenges that have continued to threaten the economy.
Begging to be employed.
They also make some recommendations to address the challenges.
Today, India fires rockets to the moon, and India is the subject of admiration. We can't industrialize, because even now, if you start a factory, the cost of power is such that you have to shut down. I have a factory here for producing castor oil. I've had to close down. But we spend over $12 million a year importing castor oil to cool transformers. And castor grows anywhere from Badagry to Kauranamuda. Just throw the seed. We can't do it because it's too costly. And it's the same story with all industrialists.
Poverty is driven by lack of opportunities. It's not lack of income. A system that has low or no productive capacity cannot employ it. And a system that is not employing, people cannot earn income, and automatically they will poor.
Of 20 years of the age.
Former President Olusegun Obasanjo, who joined virtually, emphasized the importance of creating an enabling environment for investors, as well as proffer some solutions to the country's security challenge.
Government should provide conducive environment for private sector to operate and thrive. On the security, we need stick and carrot approach. Stick to deal with those who cannot be weaned away from criminality and evil deeds. And for those weaned, then there must be the carrot.
The panel session also dwelled on the need for Nigeria to prioritize production and export over import.
If we don't produce, manufacture, boost productivity, and do it so well that you can export to the rest of the world, I am afraid we may not have solution. And in doing this, we have to look at what are we consuming the most? What are we buying the most?
The Nigerian economy has suffered some setbacks in recent times as headline inflation hits 21.82% amidst a 5.0% unemployment rate. It is hoped that some of the recommendations from this conference will be considered by the government as it seeks solutions to the country's economic and security challenges.
Staying with matters of governance, the founder of the School of Politics, Policy and Governance and former Minister of Education, Oby Ezekwesili, is calling for a concerted effort to build Africa's next generation of leaders. Speaking on the sidelines of the Big Ideas platform in Abuja, she emphasized the need to fix not only politics on the continent, but also other critical sectors to make the enormous youthful population of Africa globally competitive.
Every analysis has shown that it is because of poor governance. So the absence of good governance has robbed us of the kinds of progress that our human beings, if translated to human capital, can take the continent toward the level of progress and even surpass that of other continents. Therefore, what we at the School of Politics, Policy and Governance, known as SPPG, are doing is to confront that issue and to say we must build a new core of leaders, public leaders, who have character, competence and capacity to solve our public problems and to do these things in ways that do not subordinate our common good to their own personal interests, because that's the greatest tragedy of our country and continent. You have public rulers, not leaders, who often vote for their own interest as against the common interest. And when you continue on that pattern, there is no way you're going to get to development.
Persons in the business of butchery in Lagos now have cause to smile, and this is because the Lagos state government has changed the face of main abattoir in the Agege area. The Okwoba abattoir, which was dilapidated for a long time. Now the state government has commissioned the 5 different projects in the value chain to enable a conducive environment for the purchase and consumption of wholesome red meat by the residents. State Commissioner for Agriculture, Abisola Olusoya, says the delivery of the projects in collaboration with private investors is to ensure healthy living for the people.
Lagos, the commercial nerve center of the country, is a place where business thrives. One of such trades is butchery, which involves the red meat value chain, employing a large number of young men. However, the unhygienic conditions in which they carry out their business activities are considered risky to the health of individuals who patronize them. In 2012, the Lagos state government introduced a refrigerated meat van for butchers to stop open and unhygienic transportation of meat from abattoirs. One of the busiest abattoirs in the state is the Okwoba abattoir, built in 1992. Over the years, the environmental state of the abattoir degenerated and became a cause for concern to the state government. Now the administration of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has changed the face of the abattoir, making it more conducive for business. First, the government increased the number of vans for transporting the meat, with 65 new ones added. Also, a 600-meter road has been reconstructed at the Okwoba abattoir.
We were here in 1992 when it was commissioned. We know how this road was. But when we started using it, we know how bad it goes to. And now that there is refurbishment, we thank the governor for a good job being done here. We appeal to our honorable commissioner that they should include power bike to this our eco refrigeration.
The state government is not bearing the burden alone. A private organization has stretched a hand of support and is willing to do more for the people.
Well, we're starting with 55. We're in talks with other people to do expansion, really. You know, when you start a project, you actually take it in phases. So this is the first phase of the project.
For the State Commissioner for Agriculture, the butchers have the responsibility to make good use of the enabling environment and tools provided for their businesses.
For the fact that you can make use of this space, you make your daily living from here. You are able to make money for yourself and for your family. Then it behoves on you and I to make sure that we maintain this place, we improve it, so that others after us can also make use and make benefit of from utilizing this place.
At least 10,000 cows are slaughtered in Lagos on a daily basis, and a large part of the meat is moved from Okwoba abattoir to other district markets across the state. The state government is appealing to residents to patronize vendors who sell meat according to standard.
The more we sensitize Lagosians on the dangers of buying meat that are not being sold in the right format, or you have meat sold in a way that you have flies perching, or you have meat being carried on the backs or on the hands or on the bike, it's unhygienic and it has long-term consequences on health. We expect Lagosians to also begin to clamor that wherever it is that they are buying their meat from, they push those butchers and their customers whom they have that relationship with to ensure that they adhere and utilize the standard sort of tools and equipment that have been provided by private sector players within the space.
Other projects such as the 20-feet containers, last mile meat shops and Butchers Academy have also been inaugurated by the Lagos state government to be manned by youths at approved government abattoirs.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Federal Ministry of Work. Welcome back. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar says the action of the federal government in deploying soldiers in Kano in the tussle over the throne of the ancient city is an upset to the peace and security of the state and also in breach of the 1999 Constitution as amended. The former Vice President in a statement says in performing their constitutional duties of lawmaking, the Kano State House of Assembly passed the amended Kano State Emirate Council Repeal Bill 2024 in consonance with the provision of Section 4 of the Constitution 1999 as amended, whereas the Governor of Kano State, Abba Yusuf, subsequently signed the bill into law, adding that the law therefore repealed the 2019 version which balkanized the ancient Kano Emirate into 5. According to him, it is imperative to remind the Bola Tinubu administration that Kano State is known for peace and harmony spanning thousands of years, and any attempt to destabilize the peace of the land of commerce shall be resisted. To infrastructure now, where the Federal Ministry of Works in Lagos has announced the closure of the Oworo-bound section of the third mainland bridge at midnight till 6 p.m. on Sunday. Now, the Federal Controller of Works in Lagos, Olukorede Keisha, explained in a statement that this is to enable the ministry carry out urgent repairs of the section on the road. She asked motorists to use alternative routes. In Rivers State, where Governor Siminalayi Fubara has inaugurated the 22.6-kilometer Omok-Egbema Road in Ogba-Egbema Indoni local government area of the state as part of activities to mark his 1 year in office. During the event, Governor Fubara restated his commitment to making a positive impact across the state. The project was commissioned by former Rivers State Governor Peter Odili, an indigene of the area, who lauded Governor Fubara's achievements in a short time.
Less than 2 months after commissioning a primary healthcare center donated by former Governor Peter Odili, Governor Siminalayi Fubara of Rivers State is back to Ogba-Egbema Indoni local government area, the hometown of his deputy, to inaugurate yet another project. The project in focus is this 21.6-kilometer dual carriageway, which serves as the expressway in the oil-rich town.
The road has several notable features, including a 45-meter-long steel bridge, 8.2 kilometers of drainage, and a 7.3-meter-wide carriageway on each side. The Traco Nigeria Limited, the contractor under this contract, was responsible for the completion of the entire 21.6-kilometer stretch of the road. This involved a full construction of about 9 kilometers of the road pavement, repairs of all forms of deformations on the road, creating outfall drainage to the river at Omoko, adding side drainages, and completely resurfacing the 21.6-kilometer road with 100-millimeter thick asphaltic concrete.
Omoko, the headquarters of the local government area, was designated in the 1970s master plan of the state to be transformed into a city due to its abundance of oil and gas resources. This never came to fruition, despite being the host to 5 oil mining leases, accounting for over 500 oil wells.
Your Excellency.
The special guest, a former governor of Rivers State, Dr. Peter Odili, who is also from this area, appreciates Governor Fubara's efforts in developing the place.
I can tell our people that the next election is very far. But what the governor has done so far is enough to secure the support of Ogba-Egbema Indoni local government area going forward.
Echoing his mantra of people first, Governor Fubara gives assurances that every part of the state will be impacted positively by his administration as he grants the request for the road to be extended to the boundary with Imo State.
What are we doing today? We are here to tell our people that they are the most important thing to us. We are here to assure you that every part of this state will have positive feel of our administration. Here and now, we are ordering, mandating the Ministry of Works to ensure that the remaining part of this project at the boundary, leading to the boundary of Imo State, should be completed.
The road, which serves as the expressway in the emerging city of Omoko, is then inaugurated.
In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost.
The project inauguration is part of the activities which began 2 weeks ago to mark the first anniversary of Governor Fubara in office.
To company news, the federal government has commended the management of Innocent Vehicle Manufacturing Plant for keying into President Bola Tinubu's initiative of making gas a transitional fuel for Nigeria with the production of compressed natural gas, that's CNG vehicles. The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources Gas, Mr. Ekwerikwe Ekpo, is also calling for massive patronage of innocent vehicles, especially the CNG-powered vehicles, as they are not only environment-friendly but also cost-effective. He said this in Nnewi, Anambra State, during his tour of Innocent Vehicle Manufacturing Plant located in that town.
The Minister of State for Petroleum Gas is received at the Chinua Achebe Airport, Mweri, Anambra State, by the Chairman, Innocent Vehicle Manufacturing Plant, Mr. Innocent Chukwuma. From the airport, the team heads straight to the plant for a facility tour with major focus on compressed natural gas vehicles. The inspection begins at the welding and assembly section for big buses and moves to the finishing workshop where fittings, trimline, interior, electrical and body filling activities take place. Next, the ministers conducted round the CNG cylinder section, the treatment subdivision, where buses are jacked up for treatment, as well as body filled and fitted with appropriate motor parts. From there, the team inspects the ready-to-pick-up section where cars are lined up for delivery, after which a demonstration of the operation of the CNG Model 6x4 firefighting truck is carried out.
I'm impressed with what I've seen. I commend the effort of the chairman and the CEO of IVM for what they have done. It is in line with the aspiration of Mr. President, and I believe the President will be very happy to know that one of his subjects is developing this to catch up with his own aspiration in the use of CNG, so as to cut costs in the spending model regarding using fuel or petrol in the vehicles and turning to CNG.
The final inspection takes place at the massive Innocent CNG plant, which is still under construction. The minister calls for patronage of Innocent CNG vehicles.
I will need to brief the president on what I have seen and what I've experienced. Then it is left for the president to take a decision on the direction to go. And recall there is a committee, presidential committee on CNG. I will have to equally collaborate with them, sit down with them and talk about the issue, because we are looking about how to cut costs, reduce the expenses. This will add value to our country, Nigeria, so it should be patronized from all angles, and I believe the president will support such aspiration.
For the chairman of Innocent Group, the vehicle assembly plant is his own modest contribution to growing the nation's economy. He believes that the federal government must be supported in its quest to develop the nation.
I'm building this factory now, and he's coming to commission it soon. All these things is what he needs to make this country great. He have told us that everybody will try to use CNG gas. He have seen the benefit of CNG. That is why he's directing everybody to use it. And all of us will give him cooperation by producing vehicles using CNG, by making it available so that masses can be able to use. Transportation cost is very high. That is the only way forward.
At the end of the tour, both the minister and the management of Innocent Group are optimistic that there's need for collaboration between the government and the private sector to encourage the use of CNG vehicles as an alternative to petrol-powered vehicles because of its cost effectiveness.
Meanwhile, the Bank of Industry, the BOI, has expressed its determination to be more inclusive in funding the real sector. The Managing Director of BOI, Dr. Olashopo Olusi, who said this at the bank's 64th annual general meeting, explains that sustainable funding that will cater for the youth and women remains the bank's focus for this year, 2024.
Nigeria's major development financing institution, the Bank of Industry, has over the years kept to its commitment of transforming the country's industrial sector by spreading single-digit interest loans to companies and factories in every sector. At a time when the Central Bank of Nigeria has adopted a hawkish stance in dealing with inflation, raising interest rate to 26.25%, a single-digit rate brings a huge relief to operators. This has helped the institution boost activities in the year ended December 2023 by increasing disbursement to large, medium, small and micro enterprises, advancing credit amounting to 496.717 billion naira to 75,809 beneficiaries. This has led to the creation of almost 2.2 million jobs. Total assets grew by 64.6% from 2.37 trillion naira to 3.91 trillion naira. The bank's profit also went up by 117.69%, increasing from 70.7 billion naira to 153.81 billion naira. There's also a 41.5% increase in loans and advances, rising to 1.14 trillion naira and 803.6 billion naira respectively. While the bank's total equity experienced a significant boost, growing by 57.7% from 427 billion naira to 678 billion naira, reinforcing the institution's financial stability and capacity for future investments. These achievements made good conversations at the 64th Annual General Meeting, chaired by the chairman of the Shareholders Committee, Mr. Mohammed Bala.
This remarkable financial performance reflects the bank's management's proactive and passionate approach to delivering its mandate despite the challenging global and domestic economic environment. Subsequent to Mr. President's renewed hope agenda and in tandem with the National Development Plan 2021-2025, the Bank of Industry will continue to implement its medium-term corporate strategy for 2022-2024 on effectively sustaining the trajectory of supporting Nigerian industrial growth. However, the bank's strategy will remain flexible to seamlessly integrate with new development as they arise in the economy in the year 2024.
Approve the appointment of Dr. Olashupo Olusi.
Appointment approval was also on the agenda. And the managing director says he is determined to broaden the horizon of the bank.
We intend to increase the amount of lending to the MSME sector. We are focused on thematic areas: youth and skills development, climate and sustainability, gender, digital economy, infrastructure development, and so on and so forth.
The job of transformation is still on, according to BOI, and no sector will be left out.
Will Ibong is standing by for more business news. Will?
Thank you, Ayotunde. Nigeria's forex reserves has experienced yet another positive uptick this week. The central bank reported that the gross reserves increased by $73.05 million, reaching a total of $32.74 billion as at May the 24th. Despite this improvement, analysts predict that the currency will face continued pressure in the coming week due to weak liquidity. However, there is hope on the horizon as the expected Eurobond issuance and multilateral financing from the World Bank next month could enhance liquidity and potentially strengthen the naira. Also, forex market trading activity at the FMDQ ended positive this week as the total turnover of transactions carried out at the FX spot, forwards and futures markets rose by 7.41% to close at over $1.4 billion. A further breakdown shows total value of transactions at FX spot markets climbed by 7.14% to $1.43 billion, while transactions at the FX derivatives market jumped by 31.06% to $20 million. Also, the value of the naira rose by 1.32% to 1,479 naira 80 kobo against the dollar at the official NAFEX window. Speaking of the commodity that brings in the forex, the Minister of State for Petroleum Oil, Senator Heineken Lukobiri, says Nigeria currently produces 1.7 million barrels of crude oil per day, surpassing the OPEC production quota. Senator Lukobiri said this at the ministerial sectoral briefing by the members of Federal Executive Council to mark the first anniversary of President Bola Tinubu. According to the minister, one of the issues impeding the efficient distribution of petroleum products is evacuation, which is due to the poor state of oil pipelines.
At the time we took hold of office, we were assigned into the Ministry of Petroleum. We were doing about 1 million barrels per day. But today, I'm proud to announce to you that we are doing approximately 1.7 million barrels per day. This is inclusive of condensate. There is a difference between crude and condensate. But even for crude alone, we are doing approximately 1.5. For condensate, it's even higher grade of crude that even sells higher in terms of price than the crude that people popularly, talk about. So as of today, our budget is predicated on 1.7 million barrels per day. But plus condensate, we're already meeting our budget expectations. Our target is to ensure that we produce up to 2-3 million barrels per day. And we have the capacity to do so. Our problem hasn't been capacity. Our problem has been, so many other, factors which I don't want to bore you today. But one of them is the difficulty in evacuation. Our pipelines, some of them as old as 50 years. Some of them as old as the industry, which started in 1956 in Bayelsa. And so, the lifespan of the pipelines have already expired. And so when a young man goes to those pipelines and he just touches the pipelines, they are busted.
Now let's check out the domestic stock market, which ended the week with negative sentiments as investors reacted to the MPC's decision to further hike the MPR by 150 basis points. The all-share index declined by 0.52% week-on-week to close at 97,612 points. Year-to-date returns settled at 30.5%. On activity levels, the trading volume increased by 20.2%, while the value decreased by 4.6%. Sectoral performance was mixed with losses in the banking and insurance indexes, while the oil and gas, consumer goods, and industrial goods indexes recorded gains. Berger Paints came top on the gainers leaderboard, while Deep Capital Management and Trust PLC led a pack of losers with a 24.53% decline. Meanwhile, the trio of Ecobank Transnational Incorporated, Access Bank, and UBA drove the volume chart for the week. On the other hand, the NASD OTC securities market ended the week positive as the index rose by 5.25% week-on-week. However, the volume of securities traded this week dropped by 81.3% to 13.61 million units. Value traded was also down by 53.41%, while the number of deals carried out stood at 225. Meanwhile, top advances for the week are Newrest, Aradel Holdings PLC, Afriland Properties PLC, and Industrial and General Insurance IGI, while the top decliners are Friesland Campina Wamco Nigeria and Joe Fields PLC. And that's a wrap on business. It's back to you, Ayotune, for the rest of the news at 10.
Many thanks, Will. A popular shopping mall in Asaba, the Delta State capital, has been gutted by fire. Eyewitnesses around the scene of the inferno say they are not aware of how the fire started, but men of the Delta State Fire Service could be seen battling hard to put out the fire, just as members of the Red Cross are also on the ground to attend to any eventuality. The mall shares boundary with a petrol station, and as a precaution, the staff of the filling station closed and stopped dispensing petrol. It's now time for some sports news, and with Terry Kumi from our Abuja studios. Terry?
welcome to Sports News. Thank you very much, Ayo. We begin in England now, where Manchester United stunned Manchester City 2-1 in the FA Cup final at Wembley on Saturday, ending City's dreams of a second straight league and cup double. Alejandro Garnacho put United ahead in the 30th minute, and Kobbie Mainoo doubled their lead 9 minutes later after a well-worked team move. Jeremy Doku pulled one back for City, but it was not enough as Manchester United held on for victory. FA Cup glory sees United add a second piece of silverware under Erik ten Hag, following up their Carabao win from last season. Our in-form American Madison Keys warmed up for the French Open by winning the first WTA title on red clay of her career with victory over compatriot Danielle Collins in Strasbourg. The 29-year-old eased to a 6-1, 6-2 win. Keys will start her campaign at Roland Garros, where the French Open starts on Sunday against Mexican Renata Zarazao. Now, 22-time Grand Slam champion Rafael Nadal is not 100% sure if he is playing the French Open for a final time. Nadal, a record 14-time men's champion at Roland Garros, previously said he expected to retire later in 2024. The former world #1 missed last year's clay court Grand Slam through injury and has barely played over the past 18 months. But Nadal, who turns 38 on June 3rd, has been encouraged by his form and fitness in recent weeks. Luka Doncic drained the go-ahead three-pointer with 3.8 seconds remaining to lift Dallas to a 109-108 victory over Minnesota Timberwolves in another NBA Western Conference Finals thriller. The Mavericks were down by 16 points in the third quarter, but Doncic, who also starred in the series opener, helped drag his side back into contention. The Slovenian delivered a triple-double of 32 points, 10 rebounds, and 13 assists as the Mavericks handed the Timberwolves a second straight home defeat to take a 2-0 lead in the best-of-7 series.
It's one of those wins where we can look back on and reflect and really be proud of ourselves. And, you know, the little things that it took to get this win tonight, we can carry on to Game 3. But we also understand that it's no time to be satisfied. We got 40 minutes to celebrate, and we got to get on this plane, go back to Dallas, and get ready for another hard-fought battle.
Lots of great things tonight on the floor. You know, it's funny because both those games we up for the majority of the games, you know, so just gotta keep going. You know, adversity. We've had adversity all year, you know, and last year too. So just keep going.
This is on Sports News. Back to you, Ayo.
Thank you so much, Terry. A new battlefront appears to have opened in the ongoing war between Israel and Hamas as rival groups of activists do their best to block or protect aid convoys going into Gaza. This comes as social media is flooded with images of aid lorries being blocked and ransacked in the last few weeks. Right-wing activists, including Jewish settlers living in the occupied West Bank, have uploaded dozens of videos of crowds, including some very young children, hurling food onto the ground and even stamping on boxes of aid. There's a feeling among the Jewish settlers that Gazans should not receive anything while Israeli hostages remain in captivity, and that providing aid to Gaza merely serves to prolong the war. Reports say there are videos showing Israeli vigilantes stopping lorries in Jerusalem and demanding that drivers show papers proving they are not transforming aid to Gaza. However, peace activists have accused the police, under the control of the National Security Minister, one of the most hardline members of Benjamin Netanyahu's government, of doing little to stop the attacks. And the main news again. Uncertainty was the order of the day today in the ancient city of Kano following a new twist in the emirate leadership tussle, where the reinstated Emir Muhammadu Sanusi II and the deposed Emir Aminu Ado Bayero laid claim to the throne.